Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farm. Today I thought I'd bring you along while I work on bagging up some homemade dog food. We've been working on making it the last few days, just a little bit here and there. If you have not heard me talk about homemade dog food, that is all we feed our dogs. We started messing around with that back in, I think, the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. We had some freezer burnt meat and we decided to do something with it. We had a whole bunch and we were cleaning out the freezers and we thought, we should probably do something with this. So we started making dog food with it. Since then, once all the shortages stuff happened in 2020, we had a hard time finding our dog food, and it wasn't like we fed them anything special. It was just the Alpo come and get it, dry dog food. But so they had been eating that for years, and our pug has a very finicky stomach, and after 2020 happened, for some reason, every time we'd open a new bag of dog food, it made her stomach very upset. So she basically had massive amounts of diarrhea all over the house. It was a huge, disgusting mess. This went on for a couple of months, and we were still working on messing with making our own homemade dog food for them. We used to give it to them probably once or twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. We just gradually kept increasing how much we were doing. And we kept saying, well, once we get a chance to move out to the country, we're going to just feed them this. We're just going to feed them this. Well, then it got to the point where she started, it was literally every time we would open a new bag, she would be sick for like a week. And it was a nightmare. And the dogs just really didn't care for it anymore once they had the homemade stuff. So we started focusing on, that was a priority then, was to make the dogs food homemade and offer that to them all the time. So that's what we've been doing now for the last 3 years. So it's been going well. One of our dogs has had some health issues in the past. If you've seen my previous video, yesterday's video about Don't Lose Hope, that's Lucy. She has had seizures in the past. And she's also had we assume it was a heat stroke or something. She is partially blind and is basically eternally a puppy. So she definitely has some neurological issues. But she's a wonderful dog. Poor little girl, though, forgets when somebody's here. If they go to the bathroom, then they come back out and she thinks that we're being robbed. So it's kind of funny. But anyways, so she has had lots of health problems throughout her entire 8 years of life. And since putting her on the homemade dog food, which is just basically meat and vegetables and also rice, she has had no issues with bloat or coughing a lot, no seizures, no anything. So it's definitely been a really good diet change for her. It's a very low salt diet. So I'll do my best to show you guys what it looks like on camera. It basically looks like stew. So that right in this batch we have, my mom had some freezer burnt meat, so we graciously took it off of her hands to feed the puppies. So she had a ham bone with some ham left on it, so that's in there. And then we raise meat rabbits, so we had a few rabbit thighs that were freezer burnt. And there's also, I think there's a couple of roosters in this. I'm not sure on the roosters. But I know there's usually some organ meat. Our normal recipe is just whatever we got, pretty much. So we try to focus on making sure there's a lot of protein and then also a lot of vegetables in it. So there's also corn, carrots, there's some mashed potatoes in here, and there's also some pinto beans. We knew that it was going to be a little bit leaner on the protein aspect this time, so we added in some pinto beans, which is something that we usually do pretty frequently. It's just added some beans, gives them more nutrition, and it also, protein. It hasn't given our dogs any extra gas or anything, but I mean, we have 2 pug mixes, and they've always been kind of gassy, so nothing changed with that. So yeah, one of these bags, we have 3 small dogs and 1 large dog. So one of these bags of food here, this is just a normal sandwich bag that came from Walmart. It lasts, I want to say 3 meals. Sometimes we'll add in some eggs because we raise chickens. So sometimes we'll fry up some eggs, make some scrambled eggs, and we'll also toss it in with the dog's food. But so we mix this with rice. When it comes time for them to eat, I'm actually making rice right now. So if you guys hear a timer going off in the background and see me going that way, it's because the rice is done. But so we go through a lot of rice, which rice thankfully is very cheap. So we have to make rice every few days. We make 4 cups of rice every few days for the dogs. So they get rice and a few scoops of the dog food mixed in with the rice. And we always try to make sure that there's some sort of liquidiness to it, so it's almost like a broth or a gravy. We used to, in the past, always just can it, just because it saves a lot of freezer space. And we're going to have to start doing that again, because we're running out of space. So that is all about the dog food. Our dogs absolutely love it. We've fed other people's dogs it too, and they kind of go berserk for it. When you can it, it looks a lot like stew of any sort. My sister was over one time and she's like, that looks like really good stew. And I'm like, yeah, that's the dog food. She's like, oh, well, it still looks good. And I'm like, yeah, it tastes good. Like, I've tried some before. Like, when we first started doing it, I was like, I gotta see how gross this is, because it looked terrible the first time we did it. It didn't have very much broth in it, so it looked gross. So I tried some, and I was like, man, I had enough barbecue sauce in this. This wouldn't be that bad. But now we do it differently than we did back then. So it literally is just, it looks like the insides of a pot pie, like a beef pot pie. So yeah. If you guys have any questions about making dog food, or if you live locally to me and know me personally and have some freezer burnt meat that you'd like to donate to feed our puppies, we will happily accept it. But if you have any questions about making dog food yourself or portioning or anything of the sort like that, leave it in the comment section. If you're enjoying my content, please give my videos a thumbs up, share them on your social media, and also consider subscribing to our channel to help us grow. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good one.